Hey, 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 this is your boy Dr. Mo coming to you live from, where am I? La Plata, Maryland. I got to do a location check every here and there. But this is the Mo Mindful Show. Welcome to the Mo Mindful Show. Today we have a wonderful guest, Miss Anita Anderson. You may have seen her on several IG lives with me. And we always just click really well, and but we never ever actually talked about what her expertise is. So I want to introduce to some, present to others, Miss Anita Anderson. Let's give it up. I have to get
Hey,
the clapping
everybody.
sound.
Hey.
So Anita, if you don't
Hi.
mind, give us a quick introduction of yourself, and then we'll talk about the scope of our program today.
Okay, so I'm only talking about real estate, right? So
Yes.
I've been
Well,
in real.
no. As far as your intro, I want you to
Oh,
tell
well,
us
my
everything.
name is my name is Anita Anderson. I am turn my phone off, Dr. Mo. I am your local Dallas DFW in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I'm a local real estate agent here,
Okay.
and of course, I've been in real estate for 8.5 years. This year will make my ninth year in July. And
Okay.
so I love what I do because I get to help people achieve a dream that most people want to have, which is having an ownership of a home. So
Right.
I love what I do because it helps make people's dreams come true. So that's what I'm here for, whether they're buying, selling, renting, um, investing, you name it, I can help. So that's what I do.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So
Dr.
the
Love.
so the scope of our show is all around what you do. And so first, a little pretext. So right now, as you know, Anita, we are experiencing the greatest wealth transfer, I would say, in history, or at least in modern history, in terms of our own history. And what does that mean exactly? That means that there are more opportunities right now for more people to make more money than any other time. And
Right.
people say America is the land of the opportunity. Well, right now it's not even just America, but right now this country and other countries, there's so much opportunity, primarily because of technology, like we're on today,
Mhm.
but then also just resources and information. So, what we're here today to do is share some information that we hope will empower our audience and give them kind of a leg up. It's not too late to get in to this. And so, there are multiple ways to do it, but today we're going to just focus on real estate since that's your expertise. So, what do you think about this wealth transfer? What are your thoughts?
This wealth transfer is great for sellers right now. And the reason why I say that is because we call it a seller's market. And the reason why is because the supply and demand factor is kicked in, meaning
Mhm.
that the supply is low, the demand is high, which causes everyone to flock to one home. If there's only a certain amount of homes available, it does increase the price of the homes, which means these sellers are walking away very, 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 very happy. So it's a great opportunity. Now, would I say for the buyers, it's a little bit more of a challenge, and I'm just going to keep it real. It's more of a challenge because they're having to be in competition with sometimes 10 other people, 15 other
Right.
people, so it makes it a little tougher for them. However, we still encourage people to still go out at this time, still don't not go out and buy a home. Don't at least attempt to buy a home because the the longer you wait, you see the interest rates, the inflation, everything is higher. So
Right.
the longer you wait, not only will inflation be a part of your factor, but also the rates as far as your loan is concerned. So you don't want to wait too long and say, well, I'm going to just wait till things balance out. We don't know when that's going to be. So the
Right.
opportunity is here. The opportunity is now. The opportunity is for you to get on the phone with a real estate agent. If you're in the Dallas area, that will be me. If you're
Mhm.
somewhere else, of course, reach out to your local realtor that you deal with, but don't waste the time because Time is of the essence still. Very
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. So before we get too deep, can you walk us through the traditional process of purchasing a home? Well, first of all, let me say this. So a home is one of those things that could really change somebody's life. Um, and I know, well, I don't know this. I'm going to ask you: do you focus on um, commercial property or um, personal property?
Right now, I'm focusing
Family
on
homes.
residential. I have dibbled and dabbled into commercial before.
Hmm.
It's a different animal. I will put it that way. So that one's a different animal, but my majority of my time is spent on residential, whether it's with the individual buying a home or a family buying a home, or even my investors. I deal with investors as well, where we do wholesaling, and I work with them as well, finding them properties that are abandoned and things like that. So it just kind of depends on who my audience is. So as far as the home, you want me to go over the home buying processes as well?
Yes, and then we're going to jump into your other hat as an investment specialist. So, yes, tell us what the traditional process is for a typical home purchaser.
Absolutely. So the typical home purchase, the way that I run, have my systems in place is when I'm on, someone's going to call me or I'll reach out to them and we have a buyer consultation. So a buyer consultation consists of me asking them questions like, okay, how fast do you need to move, first of all? Because that's
Hmm.
very important.
Right.
So if someone's lease is up next month, then of course we're needing to move a little bit faster. But if they got like 3 months to go, I usually get them on the phone with my lender. That's always my first step is to get them on the phone with my lender
Okay.
because if they need financing, unless they're buying it cash, and some people do, but if they're needing help with financing on a $300,000 home, then they need to get on the phone with my lender so that we can see where they stand and what they qualify for. Otherwise, if I don't know what they qualify for and I'm just on the phone having casual conversation, I did this when I first got in real estate, and it was a big learning lesson because I didn't know all the steps to it, right?
Okay.
And one of the mistakes that I made was, you're on the phone with someone, you're a new agent, you're excited, like, oh my God, I got a client. Yes. Let me go ahead and pull up some homes and send them to them.
Hmm.
I didn't know what they qualified for. So that was my lesson that I learned because then I went to sending them home. When I found out what they qualified for, we were way out of the range of what they need, where they need to be. So that
Right.
was one of the lessons, and I encourage any new agent that if they are brand new, don't rush out and do that. Make sure that you get them financed with a lender. So when I get them on the phone with my lender, they fill out the application, we find out what they qualify for. I then speak with my lender. He tells me, okay, this is what they qualify for, Anita. I go
Hmm.
in our system, our MLS, and I go ahead and I start searching homes based on the criteria that we spoke about. They need 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, a large backyard, small backyard, condo, townhome, whatever the case may be on what they're looking for. I go in the system, look up those homes. I may email them about 20 homes, but my rule is this. I have guidelines. My rule is if I send you 20 homes, their job is to now go in and pick out 3 or 4 homes that they've fallen in love with, send those homes back to me. I set up the appointments with our there's a service that we call and set up the appointments so we can get into the houses. I set up those appointments, and you may ask, well, why come we don't go look at all 20 of them? We don't have time to go look at all 20 of them, right, Dr. Mo? By
Right.
the time we circle back around to the first one that they fell in love with, if we go look at all 20, the first one is already on the contract and gone.
Right.
So I suggest to them, no, I request and demand that they only pick out 3 to 4. I schedule those 3 to 4. We go look at them, and the two that they really are in love with, well, they narrow it down after we look at the 3 to 4. They
Okay.
they already know what they want. You know what you want, then you tell me, Anita, we want an offer put in on this particular home.
Right.
I go ahead and work up the offer, send it over to the agent, and then it's kind of like a waiting game. Sometimes I reach out to the agent and say, hey, how many offers are you working with? They'll tell me. Of course, they're not able to tell me, of course, the price of what other people have offered and things like that because it's just not fair like that. It's
Right.
not a fair game. So I send out the offer and we wait to see if we're selected.
Okay.
Now, What do I do as an agent to make sure that my people are going to win the offer? Because they're up against a lot of other people.
Right.
So if they're up against someone else that has FHA or someone else that has conventional, I'm telling my clients to not ask for any concessions. Well, what are concessions? Concessions are when you're asking the seller to help pay closing costs. This is not the market for them to be asking for anything,
Okay.
because you may have someone next to you that's FHA. They're not asking for anything. And if we go in and ask for, let's just ask for $4,000.
Right.
No, we're not going to do that, because if the person next to us is not asking for anything, who do you think the seller's going to go with to get more money back in their pocket?
Right.
The person that's not
All
asking for all those
mm-hmm.
things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or not asking for this, that, and the other. So it's that kind of market to where you're kind of keeping all your stuff to a minimal.
Right.
So all the stuff you would normally be asking for, hey, I want you to fix this, that, and the other. Most people are going into these homes not even requesting certain repairs to be done, and
Right.
those things are very important.
Okay.
And so I saw online the other day someone put in an offer on a home that didn't even have toilets on it in it. That's how serious this game is. They don't really care.
Okay.
Normally in a regular market, that would be like one of those things that you can negotiate, like, well, let's reduce the price if the toilets are not going to be in there. Or let's
Well, so okay, let me pause you there. If when in that type of scenario, um, an appraiser has to come in and appraise the property. So would the toilets have to come in before that, or would an appraiser go ahead and appraise the property that doesn't have everything that's supposed to be in there?
that appraiser, when it's time for the appraisal to get done, that appraiser is going to go out and take care of, he's going to run his comps based on what the current market is selling for. So now, does it matter if the home is upgraded or not? They do consider some of those things, but I'm telling you, based on what the price of a toilet is, it's
Right.
not going to be a big game changer as far as what the house is going to appraise for.
And what about inspection contingency? Because don't the banks require an inspection to pass?
Yes, that's a good question. So, Dr. Mo, there is a such thing, and I tell all my clients this on the buying side when I'm doing the consultation with them. Because when they go on the contract, if we get once we get approved, we go under option period. So option period is normally right now it's like 1 to 3 days, because
Wow.
people are not playing. It normally will be 7 days. During that option period is when someone has an inspector go out there to inspect the home, make sure that the things that we couldn't see with the physical eye, make sure that things are intact, because FHA is very picky. They're not going to lend money if there's something electrical, roof wise, foundation wise, what else? Certain things that they're structural wise that they're going to be like, okay, we don't want to lend, and VA is that way as well. So
Okay.
conventional is a little bit more lenient, and of course, cash, they don't even have to do an inspection if they're cash.
Right.
But FHA and VA, they require that certain things they have to get them fixed. So guess what's going on right now in the market, Dr. Mo?
What's that?
If a seller gets, let's just say they get 10 offers,
Mm-hmm.
3 of them are FHA, 2 of them are conventional, and then the rest of them, let's just say you just have a gamut of different ones, right? So if they get 10
Okay.
offers and 5 of them are FHA, 3 of them are, let's just say 3 of them are conventional, 2 of them, one is VA and one is cash. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing right now is because people are ready to sell. These homes are flying off the shelf like hotcakes, right? So some of the FHA they're not going with because they know how strict FHA is with wanting things fixed. So they may not even pick those. They may
Right.
not even pick the VA because they know how strict the guidelines are for those. So then that narrows down the offers that they have to the cash one and the conventional one. Which one is going to look better? Because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, conventional is lenient, and they're not going to be sticklers on you got to get this fixed, you got to get that fixed, because they got to put a certain amount down. So they're not sticklers on that kind of stuff. So they're going to go with the ones that are not going to be a headache to them.
Right.
So we kind of have a little sympathy and pity for our FHA and VA people because some of them are not getting selected. I just saw a video that one of my loan officers sent me right before you called, and she was saying that you can tell the market is shifting just a little bit because as of recent, nobody was picking VA, nor was anybody picking FHA. But
Okay.
last week, one of her clients that was FHA, their offer actually got accepted,
Okay.
which is kind of rare right now because, like I told you, these people are not playing no games out here.
Right.
They want this house to get sold fast, and the people that are giving them the less headache, and it's going to be a smooth transition. So we were very surprised to hear that the FHA loan was accepted, which is very good.
Okay. All right.
And those
Good.
are the most popular ones. FHA are really the most popular ones.
Okay. All right. So, all right. From a investment perspective, so first of all, you use the term MLS. I know what it is, but explain what MLS is.
Yeah, so that's the multiple listing services. So as a real estate agent, we pay certain fees to have access to all the properties that are out there on the market. Okay. So we go in the system and we're able to see all the properties that are in the DFW area. Okay. So
Mhm.
that allows us access and we're able to email those properties out. We're able to go in there and see how long the house has been on the market, what the price is, if it's been reduced from last week to this week, if they've increased the price from last week to this week, if it's under construction, if it's 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 levels, if it has a pool, you name it, it has all of the stuff that we need to know. It even gives us instructions on if the seller is accepting any contingencies, meaning that if someone is in the process of selling their home and they want to move in this one, they'll say, okay, we're not taking anybody that has any contingencies. They'll let us know all of that stuff in there so that we can share that information with our clients. It tells us what loan types they're taking, because if they know that the house is in really bad shape, for instance, the roof is falling in or something, just something weird, but you got people that still want to buy that home.
Right.
So they're going to still list it, but they're going to tell us the financing that's accepted. So then on those particular homes, FHA is not going to be one of the financing that's listed.
Right.
VA is not going to be one of the financing that's listed. The
Hmm.
ones that are going to be listed will be cash, and
Right.
some of them will just say cash only. We're only taking cash offers,
Right.
or they'll say conventional. So with that being said, it tells us everything on
Right.
the property. What's regarding it, if it's a short sale, if it's in foreclosure, we get all the scoop behind the scenes on all that stuff. So it's a very good system for us to use because it helps us to educate our clients on what direction we need to go in.
Okay. So from the investment side, you just mentioned foreclosures, foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, bank-owned properties.
Hmm.
So if I'm looking to be an investor and
Hmm.
really get into that wealth transfer, take part in that wealth transfer by owning property that I'm going to be either renting out, flipping, maybe I'm buying multiple family like a duplex or something. Um, what? Let's see. Like from an agent perspective, what would you be looking for to assist me as an investor?
Great question, Dr. Mo. Most of my investors that I deal with, they want those homes that are in bad shape. They don't
Hmm.
want the good looking home. They want the ones that possibly may not even be on the MLS. They want ones that if I'm driving down the street, and I call it driving for dollars. There have been times when I go to certain areas and I just drive the streets and see what homes are abandoned. Look
Hmm.
like the windows are all busted out, the roof may be falling in. So for my investors, I do stuff like that because they're not gonna be one to, they're in partnership with other people, right? So they're
Right.
not wanting to pay high dollar for for the homes that are out there on the market.
Right.
They're wanting to pay as least as they can to the seller,
Hmm.
and then they're gonna flip it and use the money that they have put back for making those changes in the home, the updates and things like that. So the way that I help my investors is I either do driving for dollars, or I've now used a new system that I'm able to use and actually look up abandoned houses and stuff like that. So that's
Okay.
been a game changer for me because with the price of gas, Dr. Mo, that driving for dollars kind of was a little bit on the,
Right.
I had to slow that down a little bit. But I
Right.
have a system that I use now to help my investors find abandoned homes or homes that are in really tough shape. Those are the ones they really want.
Right. Right.
And they're
Okay.
able to close those pretty quickly because most of them are dealing with cash, hard
Cash.
money. They can close within 2 weeks and stuff like that. So they're
Right.
not playing any game.
Okay. Um, so in terms of driving around, like, let me just go back to you being an agent
Hmm.
for a traditional buyer. Um, so you send them 20 homes, you tell them to pick out three or four. Um, are you finding that many of the homes that are for sale now have some kind of virtual tour so that they can, at the very least, see the majority of the house prior to even picking those houses to say, hey, I want to go see these three?
Some of them do have a video option on the MLS for them to view.
Mm-hmm.
What I strongly recommend, and this is for my clients, this is one of those standards and rules that I have in place. I usually tell them, let's just say that they say, okay, well, we saw the video, put in an offer. We need to go see this house because video can, you probably seen stuff before, Dr. Mo. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen pictures sometimes in the MLS and the house looks gorgeous
Right.
on the pictures. And you get there and there's a hole in one of the bedroom floors.
Right.
So you don't want to end up I always tell my clients, we're gonna go look at the house. I know you may have saw the virtual. I know that you fell in love with the pictures and you want me to just throw in an offer, but I strongly suggest that we still go and look at the home. The
Right.
reason why is because what if those pictures, and not saying that anybody's doing this, but what if the pictures are some older pictures that when the house was really fixed up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
then we get there and it's totally, totally different from what we thought
Right.
online. I mean, I'm just saying. And that has happened before. I just don't want them to end up, we put in an offer on a house that they have not seen in person. And
Right.
then they're like, end up really wanting to go see it. And then when they get there, it's like, oh my God, can we back out? That takes, you can get sued. Well, they put
Right.
themselves in a very sticky situation because once you run the contract, you legitimately told these people that we're good. Let's
You
work
intend to
together.
buy.
So
Right.
you don't want to end up putting yourself in a situation to where it's like you're backing out or reneging on a contract.
Okay.
So I always strongly suggest that we're gonna go look at this house. If we're in
Hmm.
there nothing but for 2 minutes, I need y'all to look at the house before I do the offer.
So tell me, how can somebody um, really partake in that wealth transfer by purchasing a home? And I'll give you a little bit more. Um, so my take on single family homes are that they're actually liabilities. Whereas I know a lot of realtors, I was a realtor for 5 years. I don't know if you knew that. So I was a
Mm,
realtor for 5 years as well here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And my initial introduction was that, people buy a house, that's their first real large purchase, which is still true, but that's an asset for them. But in my research, and then now I'm an investor,
mhm.
I've seen that a single family home is more of a liability, even though in this market, with the seller's market, of course, people are commanding much more money than the house is worth
It's
a
work.
lot of
Yeah.
times. So in that case, yeah, it appreciated, or you got an appreciated value from it. However, and most houses do appreciate over time, depending on the area, but most houses do have, some appreciation. But in terms of building wealth, so that's what we're talking about, building wealth. Would you
Mhm.
say that a single family home is a good way? And if so, how is it a good way to build wealth? And it's a
Okay.
trick question.
I see. Okay, so what I found in my research as well is a lot of people are getting into multifamily.
Hmm.
They're getting into duplexes, fourplexes, apartment, like a smaller apartment kind of complex. And that's
Hmm.
because you're able to really get a return on your investment that way.
Right.
Um, versus having one home and you're getting some off of that. They're going the multifamily way and it's been really booming. I've been doing some research on it because I'm thinking about doing some investment in that manner. I'm just like, wow. So multifamily right now is a hot ticket.
Okay.
uh, Doing the apartments and duplexes and things like that. Having more than that way, you're kind of doing what is it? You having more properties to work with
Right.
off of one loan. You know what I mean, or off
Right.
of one bill or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So yeah, so they're able to get multiple properties that way. So that's
Hmm.
been a big thing. lately,
Right.
which is
Exactly.
really good. Very, very
And
good.
I know in terms of the loans, that's a very good point. You can offer that one loan. You might get a 4 unit,
Mm-hmm.
and you move into one. So now you have a place, and you rent 3 of them, and
Mm-hmm.
those three families or 3 individuals are paying basically your rent and your mortgage. So you're first, you've rid yourself of rent,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're also getting some kind of return on your investment on a
Mm-hmm.
monthly basis for however many years you keep the property. And then there's other ways that obviously you can enhance that the value of that property and enhance your income by, if it's a 4 unit apartment and it has a common area, maybe putting a
Mm-hmm.
vending machine in there, maybe
Yes.
having a laundry facility. If each unit doesn't have their own washer and dryer, having some kind of laundry facility in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else can you do?
They
Um,
they have what is it? You name it, they got all kind of stuff that they've added. Like you were saying, the common areas,
mhm.
uh, the club. What is? Some of them have the clubhouses, but
Clubhouse, yeah,
you know those kind of things. The pool area. Just depend on what property they're investing in. Will depend
right,
on what they're getting. So it's a
right.
lot of opportunities out there, especially on the multifamily side. Now, one of the videos I was telling you about earlier that I saw that my loan
Mhm.
officer told me about. Normally for single family residents, like if it's just a family that's buying a residential home, one of the things that they're having issues with right now because of government stuff and all the rates and everything, if someone applies for a FHA loan and they want to do a first time home buyer program so that they can
Mhm.
get their down payment at no, well, I don't want to say at no cost, it's going to be put onto the back of their loan.
Right.
There is a shortage of money for the first time home buyer program. So people are now having to find other ways to come up with their down payment instead of getting those programs.
Mhm. And so, what
So,
would you say is a typical down payment? Well, go ahead, finish your thought. I'm sorry.
oh no, that's okay. So I'm just saying that they're having to find other ways to get their down payment because you can have a single mother that'll go out there and get a home, and she's able to get a first time home buyer program in place, like a T Shack, or uh, if she's a nurse, they have programs, and firefighters, all those kind of programs for people like that are in service that are able to get that down payment for free, and all they have to worry about is their closing costs at the
Right.
end. But guess what? Because of the rates and the government stuff that's going on, those monies have pretty much kind of been depleted, and so they're having to go another route on getting their money for down payment. What were you asking me, Dr. Mo?
What would be a typical, if there is such term,
Down payment?
down payment for a house?
Okay. So, like for FHA, for instance, and I'm pulling up my calculator. So for FHA, you're normally charged 3.5% for down payment.
Okay.
Okay. So let's just say a home is, I'm gonna go with 300,000 because these houses are they up there right now, Dr. Mo, and
Hmm.
that's a pretty much a starting point. So if it's 300,000 times 3.5%, they're looking at paying, if they're doing a down pay, that's 10,500.
Hmm.
But let's just say they have that program, they wouldn't have to worry about that up front.
Right.
you know. So it's been a little bit of a game changer. So what I've been doing to help my clients, Dr. Mo, so for one, that they won't be in competition with so many other people, because you got people out here that are, if they're all fighting, I want to say competing over one house, and it's
Hmm.
15 people that they got offers on this one house. So then
Hmm.
my people won't have to be in competition with people that are moving here from California. Their pockets are a little bit deeper because everything up there is really expensive. So when they come down here, they're like, they don't hit the jackpot, because for the price
Yeah.
of one home that they got up there, they can come down here and probably get two or three. And
Right.
so guess what they're doing with the deep pockets? They're offering 50,000 above asking price,
Hmm.
60, 70,000 above asking price, which kind of puts the a single mother or a family that may not have that to beat everyone out. They may not have a fair fight.
Right.
So what I've been doing with my clients, of course, if I'm doing an existing home, making sure that I'll put everything on there to help them win. There's certain things that we can do on there, to kind of, so their contract will look really good.
Right.
Uh, if I don't do an existing home, I'm taking them to a new build,
Okay.
educating them, introducing them to the salespeople that I have relationship with, getting them with the new bill because they're not in competition. They just go on the contract. Hopefully but guess what? On the new homes, they've been having a shortage on those as well because everybody's flocking to them. And
Okay.
so that's if the homes are available as well. So like I have one that's getting ready to close here in the beginning of May, and they only had 2 homes left by the time we got over there. And
Okay.
so thank God my client was able to go on the contract, and he'll be closing soon. But just think if we had waited a week later, he wouldn't have had any options. And it was
Right.
in his perfect price range for him because he's a retired, he's getting ready to retire. But
Okay.
it was the perfect home for him. So I
Right.
take them to new builds because there being less competition. But now, some of the new builds, if they got 1 home left, they've been also doing like the regular market and asking everybody to submit their best and final by a certain date because there's only
Okay.
1 home left. But all the builders are not doing that. Only some of them are.
Okay.
So I do take some of them to builders because we have a better chance. As long as there's inventory and there's enough land available for them to purchase, let's go on and get you on the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Right.
won't be in competition.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
One thing I used to do is part of my contract, I would also have them write a letter, or most of the
Hmm.
time I wrote the letter, just kind of giving the seller some of my circumstances, not a woe is me letter, but just letting them know, look,
Yeah.
I am a single family, I am a single mom or single dad, and
First time buying a
first time
home.
buyer.
Yeah.
I lived in this neighborhood growing up, and now it's changing, but I would love to stay here, or whatever is the reason. But I would put that in there, and sometimes it would help, sometimes it wouldn't.
I
Um,
agree. And sometimes that does make a difference with the seller because they're like, I want someone to have this home that's going to really take care of it. They have a family. They're not just coming in to invest,
correct.
put it out on the market to rent it out. So you do
Mhm.
have some sellers that are sentimental. I mean, as far as they'll have the compassion and
Right.
sympathy for someone that's a first time home buyer. And they'll say, we're going to go with this person, even though other people have offered way more
Right.
than this family has. So it just kind of depends on what the seller is looking for. Because you
Right.
got, some of them are, if they're having to move out of town, they're
Hmm.
wanting every dollar they can get for the transition that they're having to make for their family. So it just
Right.
kind of depends on who we're working with. That makes a
Absolutely.
big difference too.
Okay. And
Now, one
then
thing,
go ahead. Oh, go.
so for anybody that wants to know how long it takes to, once you're on the contract with the home, it takes
Hmm.
about 30 to 45 days to close on a home. And
Okay.
that's on an existing home. Now, if it's a new build, depending on what stage the house is already in, it may take some extra months. But if they have inventory homes available, then of course it won't take as long to close on a home. So you very well can be in a home within 21 to 30 days, just depending on what situation we're in. I always strongly suggest to my clients that we do a walkthrough right before we close. So if we're going to close in on let's say Friday, then Friday morning we're going to do a walkthrough. And here's the reason why. And I did a video on this a while back. But a guy at one of my offices told us a story about a real estate agent and their clients didn't want to do a walkthrough before they bought the home, before they went to sign all the documents to close.
Okay.
Well, the night before, someone had went over to the home, left the window up, and the people, it rained overnight and flooded portions of the house. But guess what? Because they didn't want to do a walkthrough, if they had did the walkthrough, who would have been responsible then?
The seller.
The seller. But because
Hmm.
they didn't want to do the walkthrough and they went straight to closing and went ahead and signed off on all the documents, the buyer is now responsible for those things. So we strongly suggest that our clients do the walkthrough. We now have a document that allows us to let them sign a document saying that they decided not to do the walkthrough, which covers us
Okay.
as real estate
Good.
agents. So
Good.
do your walkthrough, people.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk all investment.
All
All
right.
right. So we'll
Go,
be right
Dr.
back.
Mo.
All right, so we're back. We're back.
We're
So
back.
I'm talking to Miss Anita Anderson, investment specialist from the DFW, Dallas Fort Worth area. She's a realtor. She didn't give us her whole bio, but does all kinds of other activities where she's earning different incomes, as well as she's an educator. She trains people. She works with young people. Um, Woman of God, mother, lots of different things that again she didn't really give us, but I'm
Well, Dr.
fortunate
Mo,
enough to
if
know
you
some of
want,
those things.
you let me know. You let me know what you want, Dr. Mo. I
All
have
right.
4 children. You want to know their ages? They're older.
No, we don't need to know their ages.
Okay.
Just want to know a little bit more about you. But um, tell us before we even jump into the investment side of it. How can people contact you?
I can be found on Instagram at underscore
Hmm.
Anita Anderson, and I can be found on Facebook under Anita Anderson. And the way that you'll
Hmm.
find me on Facebook, if there's another Anita Anderson out there, mine usually has a yellow. You can see I like yellow, so you'll see a yellow circle with my picture in it. Of course, I got a hat on. That's one of my
Okay.
specialties, and that's usually the best way you can tell that it's me. Otherwise, I can be reached at via email, Anita A876 at gmail.com, or my phone number is 214-659-3901.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So now getting to the investment side of it. Um, so we just talked about single family homes and that they're not necessarily an investment option. However, and the reason why I said it's a trick question is because, um, of course, people can purchase single family
Mm-hmm.
homes if they have another place and they want to put it up for an Airbnb.
That's true.
Um, so tell us about Airbnbs. What is an Airbnb? How do they make money? And why might that be a good investment?
Okay. So, like you said, it can be a money making tool for a family if they've decided, to buy a home, but they have another home as well.
Hmm.
So they can use one of them as an Airbnb. So what they can do is Airbnbs, they're actually a really good competition for hotels these days because you
Hmm.
got some people that they don't want to be in a big hotel and have to deal with all the crowds and all that other stuff, especially with
Right.
COVID and things like that. So you got people that'll do an Airbnb. That's when you've taken your property, whether it's a home that you own. But guess what, Dr. Mo? People are using they're doing apartments as well. So
Right.
let's just say I live in an apartment right now, very nice location. It's by a lot of shopping and stuff. So if I decided to go, in which I've already researched this, and rent another property down the hall from me, I can do that and turn it into an Airbnb. So
Hmm.
with that being said, you of course furnish the property, make sure that everything is needed like it's already furnished and things like that. People are able to make really good money off of Airbnbs these days. And it's a really
Hmm.
good investment. You get a really good return on your investment because not only are you getting funding to pay the monthly rent or mortgage, depending on if you're in an apartment or if you have a home, it's paying the monthly mortgage as well as because you got some of these Airbnbs, Dr. Mo, per night, they're
Right.
charging more than they're charging more than hotels are. And people
Hmm.
are actually paying it.
Hmm.
So let's just say that for a local hotel you go to and you may be paying let's just say $100 a night. I'm just say 99 to $100 a night or whatever. They're able to charge what they want as far as the amount.
Hmm.
So they can charge 200, 300 a night. So let's just say people are there the whole week and they charge 200 per night for
Right.
5 days. They've made $1,000, which is probably close to what they'll be able to pay the rent. And you got someone else that comes in right after them.
Right.
That's another, depending on how many days they get. So you got that whole month of making $300 to $400 a night off of one property. And by the end of the month, people are walking away with sometimes $20,000, depending on how many people they've had through there.
Hmm.
But you got to have your rules and guidelines in place, things like that, so that the people are not damaging your property. The security cameras that you can have in place. making sure that they're legit, doing a background check, making sure, those kind of things, because those things are important. You don't want just anybody in and out of your Airbnb property. Just like you wouldn't want people that you don't really have done research on in your regular home or property. So the
Right.
same thing goes for that. It's having your guidelines and your standards in place. Because the last thing you need is for somebody to damage the property that you own or that you're responsible for,
Mm-hmm.
and then it falls back on you.
Right.
So yeah, it's very, very good business, very lucrative. And guess what, Dr. Mo? People, you hire a maid. Like I have a cleaning lady that comes from time to time. She will be the person that I'd hire to clean up my Airbnb properties, and that's a good residual income. I mean, that's a good income for her on the side,
Right.
depending on how many of those I have.
True.
So yeah, you have that, and then um, if they need anything, you're on call or whatever. But it's a great way to make extra income. So
Right.
you're
Right.
making money literally while you're asleep.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know with some Airbnbs, well, not some, but all, if you go through Airbnb, then they will set up all of those security measures in place. So they do the check for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, money goes through them. The only thing, of course, you have to make sure your own property is good.
Right.
Like you said, maybe cameras or something like that. But
Yeah.
they're able to do those different things. And there's
Mm-hmm.
also this company called Noir. Noir, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. B and
Yeah.
B. So that's black owned Airbnbs, and so the system is set up the same way. From what I understand,
Mm-hmm.
you can make just as much or more than Airbnb. Airbnb has probably a larger market, but just like you said, um, you have fewer properties in Dallas that are available, so therefore the price goes up. Well, Noir B&B has fewer properties in their inventory, so therefore it might be more expensive for somebody to rent from them. But they are supporting black businesses, so if that's
Good.
something that somebody's interested in doing, specifically, they can go to Noir B&B or Airbnb. People of all colors, nationalities own those properties. So I've stayed in several Airbnbs,
Mm-hmm.
different places in not in Dallas, but I've stayed in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
um, California, Orlando, and like you mentioned, you can make a pretty penny on an Airbnb. We rented a house, an entire house in Orlando, and it was two, four, six. It's around 10 of us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody pretty much had their own bedroom. Well, some of them were couples, so but they had, everybody had their own little separate space, and then they had the common area, the living room, dining room, kitchen. And with that type of situation, the thing that I think trumps uh, hotels is, except of course suites, but you can buy your food and cook.
Mm-hmm.
So say you go to Orlando with your family, and you're spending, $150 per child at each park. Well, y'all can go home and eat dinner, a spaghetti dinner that y'all bought,
Right.
before you got in there, and y'all can have breakfast, a nice breakfast before you even head to the parks. And so
Right.
it has those benefits. Even with suites in hotels, typically a suite is not going to have complete cooking facilities available.
Right. Not
So
all of them.
not
Right.
all of them. It might have a hot plate, it might have a microwave and a sink, but it's not going to have a full. Most of them won't have a full stove and oven and
Mm-hmm.
all the pots and pans like you would have in an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beautiful thing about that, and that's the beneficial thing about owning one. You
Yes.
put all those things in there, and somebody has all those things uh, uh, at their access,
Yeah.
and so they're more likely to do that.
And it feels to them, it feels more like home. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it feels
Mhm.
more. And have you seen the ones that are on the side of the beaches? Like they're
Yes.
off of the Documentos are beautiful, and they're not. Some of them are not as expensive as you think they are. So
Right.
you get a family, like you said, if you have a group of people that go and it's 10 of them and they all split the cost, then it's little to nothing because everybody's chipping in.
Right.
And you're sitting, you're off the side of the ocean or the beach, and it's just
Hmm.
It's an amazing thing. So I wouldn't mind getting one in Florida or somewhere, as an investment because it's a
Right.
beautiful place and just have someone to oversee the property for me that I
Right.
know down in the area. You're in Florida, right? Oh, wait,
Yes.
you go back and forth, right? So
Right.
Dr. Mo will be overseeing my property for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah,
Um, I have friends who have properties down in Florida. Um, if I wasn't up here right now, I'm in Maryland, I would probably be managing those as well. So
see,
yeah.
it's good. And I'm gonna check out the Nor B&B because I hadn't heard of them. So I'm gonna check them out because my goal is to get that started, my Airbnb started before the end of the year.
Hmm. And you brought up a good point. Like you don't have to own a property to have an Airbnb. You can rent
Mm-mm.
a property and then re-rent it, basically.
Basically,
You're
you're re-renting it. They don't.
Mhm.
It's amazing. I didn't even know that until last year when I was researching it, and I
Mhm.
found out that I can, if I didn't have enough right now to purchase a different property, then I can do a rental property, an apartment or something that's really nice, as long as I make sure that they're following the rules, not tearing up anything. You've
Right.
done the background check through the Airbnb and all the security measures that you've taken. Then guess what?
Right. Exactly.
Residual while you
And
sleep.
even with the single family home, another way that you can turn that into a cash cow is because I've stayed in one of these before. In fact, the
Hmm.
one in Houston was somebody else's house. So they'll have a room that you have. Um, well, some of them will have your own private entrance.
Hmm.
Maybe you're renting out the basement,
Hmm.
and so everything in the basement is at your leisure. So you have your bathroom, you might have a little kitchen down there, you have your bedroom, and it might be a studio type setting, but you
Yeah,
have everything in place. Whereas the family still lives upstairs in the regular house.
that's cool.
Or some people rent out just rooms, a room in their house. And I've stayed in that type of situation where, of course,
Hmm.
everybody has locks on their doors, but you have reign of the house. So if you want to cook, you cook. You just have to clean up afterwards if you want to do whatever. And the one in Houston actually was right down the street from the convention center. I literally walked because I
Wow.
didn't want to drive over there and pay the parking. So I
Mm-mm.
left the car at the house and I walked up to the convention center every day. It was a shared place, but I never did see the owner. I don't know if they were out of town that day. I mean that weekend or whatever. But um, the locks that you get, a lot of people they get electronic locks, so they can give you
Hmm.
combinations. So you just go there, and once you check out, they change the number, and so you
Right.
can't get back in. So it's all kinds of different ways that you
So
can
many
even do this
ways.
remotely. You don't have to live in the place where you own the Airbnb.
But Dr. Mo, have you heard of people that they actually own the home and then when they go on vacation, they rent it
They
out,
rent it out. Yep.
which is very smart as well. As
Yep.
long as they got their cameras, of course, to make sure that their property is protected.
Right.
But that's a good idea as well. As long as
Hmm.
you got to have a little bit more trust in in people to make sure that you
Right.
get that done.
But
Security.
see, a lot of people in Florida have like in my particular area, I live in West Palm Beach, and so we have a lot of what they call snowbirds. And snowbirds are people who live in Florida half the year, and then they live
Oh.
usually up north,
Hmm.
Connecticut, New York. We have a ton of New Yorkers,
Hmm.
people from Jersey, Philly, different places like that. Usually
Right.
retired individuals who had a lot of money.
Right.
So during the summer, they don't want to live in Florida. It's very hot. So
Hmm.
they come up here and they live in their properties here, and then either they completely vacate their places or they'll rent them out during the
Hmm.
summer because people want to go to Florida in the summer
Right.
because they don't want to be in Florida. So they'll rent out their places. They'll have a groundskeeper. They'll have somebody there, to make sure the maintenance is taken care of, like you said with the young lady. All those different things can be taken care of. And then when they come back in the winter, when it's nice out there, but it's cold up here,
Mhm.
then they got their home back.
That's smart. That's very
So,
smart. That is
and they
very,
probably do
very.
the same thing up north with their northern house. They probably rent that
I'm
during the.
sure.
Hmm.
I'm sure they do. And so there's so many opportunities out there, Dr. Mo. You
Right.
name it. I mean, that's just Airbnb is what we're yeah. So that's an
Right.
awesome way to do it. Multifamily, of course, and some people buy regular houses and flip them and do it that way. So,
Right.
so many opportunities available as long as you're in connection with the right people, as far as your people that you're going to be partnering up with.
Right.
Like the hard money lenders. Like I have access to some hard money lenders, investors that will be willing to go in with me and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So any questions that you may have about those kind of things, feel free to contact myself. Dr. Mo will be glad to fill you in on some details regarding that because we're here to help. Hey, there's enough to go around, right, Dr. Mo?
Absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
enough. Our Father on everything.
That's
So
it.
now another way to invest besides, are we still on real estate or are we going into, because
Oh,
I do life insurance too and we do investments. So
all right. Well, let's dabble on that for now. We're only going to stay on another about 5 more minutes,
yeah.
but
Okay.
yes, definitely clue us in, and then I'll chime in as well
Okay.
of other ways that you're able to build wealth.
Yes. So you're able to build wealth through, y'all, it's important that we have investments in place, right? Because you want to leave something not only to your family, uh, in the event that something happens to you.
Right.
So the best thing to do, I'm a life insurance agent as well. So you don't want to prolong getting life insurance. We can always get a quote for you guys because in the event that some, God forbid, happens to any of us, we want to make sure that our family, they're already dealing with grieving and things like that. You dare not want them to have to deal with a whole bunch of debt and things that were left behind,
Right.
unforeseen things that were left behind. So the best way to do that will be the company that I work for. We do life insurance, but we also do investments. So you can have life insurance on one hand, and then the
Mm-hmm.
other hand you can do like the Roth IRAs and things like that that you can invest in.
Right.
So we have all that available. So in case you want to set up a retirement account, you can be making money while you're sleeping. That's all
Okay.
I'm saying. But
Mm.
also the safety part of it is when, in the event that something happens to you, that's considered an investment as well because your family, you just don't want to leave them with a burden, you know. So that comes into play as well. And then
Absolutely.
I do Bitcoin and crypto and things like that. So for more information on that, let me know. I'm a part of a great academy that can you can make money while you're sleeping or go online and trade as well. So a lot of opportunities to making money. It's good to have at least 5 avenues of income.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And so there you all can see how to reach Anita on Instagram. Is at underscore Anita Anderson, and on Facebook it's just Anita Anderson. She has the yellow background. You can't miss that beautiful smile. Look at that.
Oh,
So
thank you, Dr. Mo.
you all will find her easily. You can also contact me at Doctor underscore Mo underscore Red on Instagram, or here on my website at mindovermatteru.net. And we will continue this conversation because I
Okay.
would like to get more into the other avenues because there's so many more. I'm a life insurance agent as well, and so there are plenty of opportunities. But with that,
Absolutely.
we are going to close out. I appreciate you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for getting on with me again. Look forward to the next opportunity. And everybody,
Hey,
make sure you contact Anita. Go
hey,
ahead.
next time, Dr. Mo, I was gonna go and be in like one of those big mansion like houses and do a tour for you. So maybe next time
Okay.
I'll do that to just make it a little fun, a little extra, and
Okay.
I'll do a tour for you while we're live. So
Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah,
That'd be real cool.
and any questions that anybody has, we'll be glad to answer.
Right. Absolutely. So if anybody's watching this as a replay, please type in replay. We definitely appreciate your support. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and close out. Thank you, Miss Anita Anderson. It's
Thank
been
you,
a
Dr.
pleasure.
Mo.
And we will see you next time.
Thank you, Dr. Mo. Appreciate
All right.
you.
Yeah.